Hi, I'm Greg Gutfeld, the inventor of joy. Here's what's coming up tonight. They're tired of losing to Donald Trump. Now some candidates have decided to poke the bear. We'll talk to one of them tonight. Fun! Plus, a new Buzzfeed video shows guys getting dressed up like cops so they can trash cops. Tonight's questions: who the hell do they think they are? And should we bury them up to their necks in Crisco? I say yes. And the latest version of Hillary Clinton. She spontaneously apologizes and dances because the focus groups demand it. You look great, America. You're losing weight?
I think it's ambiguous. It's unclear.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to tell you how he fails miserably.
It's got all these bad elements.
Isn't this despicable to you? Have you no sense of decency?
I have a theory. Donald Trump is a 6'2", pumpkin-colored middle finger to the last 8 years, and he won't stop. This week brings yet another thump from Trump as Carly's mug gets the slug.
Trump's battling insiders and outsiders now. He's also accused of sexism for judging businesswoman Carly Fiorina in Rolling Stone magazine for her looks. Quote, "Look at that face. Would anyone vote for that? Can you imagine that, the face of our next president?"
Yes. Can I say, for one, how refreshing it is to hear a man make fun of a woman's face?
Probably I did say something like that about Carl. I'm talking about persona. I'm not talking about look.
Sorry, I meant persona. How truly this is how you make America great again, ripping on a chick's looks. A champion of equal rights, Trump shows no delicate hand toward women. Will it stem his rise? Hell no. His Teflonics are a response to years of grim identity politics. Americans are sick and tired of being told we suck. Trump says, screw that. We're awesome.
We will have so much winning if I get elected that you may get bored with winning.
We're going to be great to the vets.
We're going to have such a strong military that nobody is going to mess with us.
And that response drowns out his infuriating missteps. So whether Trump's a lefty, a righty, or Triumph the insult dog, it doesn't matter to his fans because it doesn't matter to him. And he attracts all kinds of fans, many good, some bad. The bad think making fun of Carly's face is funny. They also thought that ripping on a POW was cool. Their non-expectation of good behavior invites Donald's worst. Their rudeness enablers. His main support, though, they're decent folk, tuned in but jaded by politics, enamored by the fight. They forget the issue, they dig his jujitsu. He is their Vishnu. His flaws, just minor quibbles. So Trump is the TV pundit as candidate. He's me. Pundits are lucky. You see, we say what we want, then say something different the next day. It doesn't matter. But now a presidential candidate is doing the very same thing. It angers me because it's working. But why be so thoughtless? Not cruel, but thoughtless, as if he's jeering and not steering, treating the campaign like one long roast. And let's be honest, you know it's bad when an obnoxious jerk like me is criticizing behavior. This is a country divided, blind to a coming enemy that demands unity and attentiveness, not aspersions. Because while insults are entertaining, they're getting old, much like Trump's face. I mean persona.
Period.
Well, like a drunk stripper, Governor Bobby Jindal is near the bottom of every poll. An underdog tired of losing to the big guy. So this week, Jindal came out swinging against Trump harder than Ralphie wailing on Scott Farkas.
The reality of Donald Trump, however, is absurd. He's non-serious. He's a carnival act. Donald Trump is a narcissist and he's an egomaniac.
I think it's pretty outrageous for him to be attacking anybody's appearance when he looks like he's got a squirrel sitting on his head.
Kind of an old joke. Earlier, I snuck into Gretchen Carlson's studio and asked Governor Jindal a few questions. Now, note to continuity freaks, I do change my suits. So, Governor Jindal, thank you for coming on my show. My first question to you, if you become the President of the United States, what will be my role?
Well, Greg, thank you for having me. It is great to be on the show. I was just joking. As many times you're on Fox, I don't know how you keep up your energy levels. Look,
amphetamines, Governor. Amphetamines.
You name the cabinet agency you want. No, I'm just kidding. But the reality is, look, I think there are a lot of these cabinet agencies that need to be downsized. If you want to come help me get rid of some bureaucrats, we're happy to have you.
Well, I would like to be in charge of the Department of Awesome Things. But now I want to talk to you about your recent tiff with Mr. Trump. He said some awful things about Carly, and then you went after him about his hair. Now, if you find his level of discourse so outrageous, why did you meet him on that level?
Well, Greg, first of all, I was kind of disappointed he wasn't more creative in his response to us. Here's the ironic thing. So I gave this blistering speech at the National Press Club, and I called him a narcissist, an egomaniac, said that there's no substance to him, that he's neither a conservative, a liberal, nor a Democrat, or a Republican, or an independent, that he is only in it for Donald. And this was the best response. I mean, the best he could muster was that he went after me for attacking his hair.
Yeah.
So I gave an entire speech where I called him a narcissist, and the thing that he took greatest offense at was I criticized his hair. I think he proved my point. I mean, talk about the narcissism. The reason I gave this speech, and the reason I think this is so important, we've got this great opportunity in the country to get the idea of America back, to implement conservative principles, and instead we've got this entertainer, this reality TV show star who doesn't believe in anything but himself. I think it'd be better to turn to conservative principles, not a person who doesn't believe in anything but himself.
All right, now you raise an interesting point, and I want to make a parallel. You called Mr. Trump a narcissist with no principles and an egomaniac. In 2007, a senator with no experience who ran on hope and change. There was no ideology behind Obama, no principles, and a kind of a narcissist, but he won. Should winning Trump, no pun intended, the fact that he's offering us a mystery package?
Well, see, here's my worry, that Donald Trump's not for limited government. He is not worried about top-down government. His only complaint is that he's not the one running the government. He doesn't mind government running our lives as long as he's the one that's in control. Can you imagine if Trump were president, we all had to get haircuts that looked like him? Think how bad that would be for the country.
See, there you go again, after his hair, Governor. Very, very, very mean. All right, let's say Donald Trump gets the nomination and wins, and he says, Governor Jindal, I want you to be my vice president. Would you say yes or no? Why?
He's not going to win the nomination. And, I can imagine the slogan now. It used to be a chicken in every pot. It could be a gold-plated toilet seat in every American house. I mean, I don't know what his next slogan is going to be, what his next cause is going to be. Look, it's fun TV to watch. I loved it when he gave out Lindsey Graham's cell phone number. I loved it when he gave out helicopter rides at the State Fair. I loved it when he said Jeb Bush's audiences were falling asleep. Greg, it's entertaining as anything. Y'all should give him a reality show here on Fox. Give him some time. The ratings would be great. He'd be entertainment. I'm not suggesting competition, by the way. But I'm just saying he's a great entertainer.
Yeah, and then I would lose my job. That's because he would take my hour. Last question, real quick. Debate coming up. You're at the earlier debate. What do you got to do to move out of the earlier debate to get up to the big debate?
Look, our strategy is working. We're building momentum on the ground in Iowa. We're getting bigger and bigger crowds. I'm the only one that's actually reduced the size of government. I think that message is resonating with folks on the ground. But on a serious note, the most important thing is we've got a chance to save our country. Let's not blow it. The liberals are giving us this election. They're gift-wrapping it to us. Let's not screw it up. It's time to put Donald Trump on the elevator, tell him he's fired, send him downstairs, and let's get serious.
All right, Governor. Well, thanks for joining us, and I'll be watching you on that other weird network. I can't remember the name of it. Take care, sir. Bye, Gov.
Thanks, Greg.
Well, that was as informative as it was informative. Let's welcome tonight's guest. He's so tough he gargles with sulfuric acid. It's U.S. Army Special Forces member and Green Beret, Terry Schappert. Well, she's so brainy, Ben Carson keeps trying to operate on her. It's hot air editor-at-large and Fox News contributor Mary Katherine Ham. Well, if he were a frozen treat, he'd be a whimsicle. It's comedian Dave Smith. That's my best intro. That
was pretty good.
Thank you. And she makes her own boxed wine by pouring wine in a box and then drinking it. It's Joanne Nosuchinsky. And if facts were ants, she'd be an anthill. It's our op-ed, Katherine Timpf from National Review. Finally, when he speaks, it comes off wooden. The liberal panel. Boo, liberal panel. Boo. Yeah, shut up. All right. MCAT, I want to go to you first. So I think the persona excuse that Donald Trump used didn't fly. So then he came out later and he says, look, I'm an entertainer, and as an entertainer, it's a different ballgame. Does that fly?
Well, first of all, why is he making excuses at all? The pitch is that he's Mr. Brash. He says what
everybody wants to say and never says. Yeah. But then he makes up 2 excuses because the first one didn't work. The second one, I don't think works either. But neither one's going to hurt him in the polls.
That's true. Yeah, the polls love him.
Yes, I do think that Carly had the right approach in sort of being dismissive of him and moving on.
Oh, I've got.
He lets other people take care of attacking.
I got a great shot to show you in a minute, but I want to go to the other lady, Joanne. You. Is it sexist to think that Carly can't take it? Is that Trump's logic? Like, he shows he's an equal opportunity offender by going after men and women.
He supports gender equality.
Yes.
He thinks that every candidate is worthy of an attack.
Yeah.
But you know what? I don't blame him. I don't blame Trump supporters for everything that's going on. I blame us. I blame citizens of the world, because every time Trump, says something about someone, his poll numbers go up, and then candidates react, and the media gives them attention.
Yeah,
so everyone is getting something good.
It's self-fulfilling, self-perpetuating machine that just doesn't stop. I want to just roll this amazing shot. This is Carly responding to Trump. I think it was at an event in Phoenix. Can we roll that, please, young people?
Leadership is not about the size of your office, the size of your airplane, the size of your helicopter. It's not about your title. It's not about your ego.
All right, Terry, you're a man.
I disagree, of course, with all of that.
Well, when she is bringing up size, what is she talking about?
We know. That's clearly the case.
Clever?
Yeah, clever. I mean, I was actually thinking Donald Trump reminds me a bit of like back in the Viking Age when they had this group of guys called the Berserkers, and they would throw them into battle. Yeah. Knowing that they'd start swinging at anybody around them, even them, the good guys. So like he's like a berserker, Trump. If someone hits him with a food cart, he'll start swinging at that guy. If someone says, I don't like the way you look, he'll go after them. Yeah. He's completely not the dude we need for president.
Really?
But I think it is a response to people being tired of having too many in Congress.
Well, I think that's the thing. I think he's saying nice doesn't matter. Dave, he is not political. I don't believe he's political or ideological, but most of America isn't political or ideological. And I work at Fox News, and we think that everybody thinks like us, but there's 300 million people out there that don't. Is that they aren't like us? Maybe he's more like America than we are.
They're not paying attention for the other 3 years. You know what I mean? Like, they just come in for this season. And look, Trump. Everyone can talk about what a buffoon Trump is, and he is. But he wouldn't exist if the GOP establishment hadn't failed so miserably for decades and decades. When Bobby Jindal comes out and he goes, oh, I don't think Trump cares about limited government and cutting government. So in my lifetime, how many times have you guys been in power, and when have you cut government? Yeah. When have you gotten rid of a department? When have you done? We don't believe you guys anymore. So that's why there's an opening for him.
Yeah, exactly. I totally get the appeal, but I'm not sure you can't. I mean, you can almost say that about anybody, about Ben Carson as well, and about Carly Fiorina, that an outsider would make a difference. Bobby Jindal also made a campaign video hitting Trump. Let's take a look at that.
I love Mexican people. I love China. But the Asians love me. And I love them.
I love the Bible.
I love the evangelicals. I love them. They love me. Why do they love me? You'll have to ask them. Kanye West, I love him.
I think Trump now is trying to stress the positive because people say he's divisive, and so he's saying he's loving a lot of stuff. Is there anything else that he loves?
Yeah. I looked at his Twitter, and there's a lot of stuff. He said he also loves standing ovations, communicating with everyone daily, watching Chuck Todd fail, Barbara Walters, the beauty of Thomas Kincaid's paintings, watching the writers of New York Magazine fail, everything Anthony Hopkins does, being right, taking lawsuits all the way when he's right, the people of Staten Island seeing garbage properly disposed of, real estate, Twitter, he says it's like a newspaper without the losses.
That's nice.
Seeing his opponents lose. Seems like he loves a lot of things, but a lot of them are just backwards ways of saying he hates something.
And that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Liberal panel. What are your thoughts on Trump? It seems to me that you should like him because in many ways he's kind of liberal.
Don't you understand, Greg? Don't you understand? He's working for us. He's working for us. And when he gets the nomination, he's going to make Bernie Sanders his vice president.
Wow. You know what? That would make sense because they both kind of share some qualities, don't they?
They both sound like they come from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. That they do. All I got to say is, like, I love Donald Trump, but he me off. That's the whole thing. I love him, but he me off.
This is why he works. But I will say, on this point, when it comes to attacking him, Donald Trump is a measurement enthusiast, whether it's poll numbers or money or buildings. And if you go after him on those things, not policy, it will be more effective because he doesn't care about policy.
Yeah.
He cares about his poll numbers.
All right, coming up, ISIS, Hillary Clinton, the upcoming debate, and my new ab routine. How are they all connected? If you leave now, you will never find out. And also, Terry will come to your house and beat you to a pulp. Waiting to happen. Okay, shut up! Another Republican debate this week, which makes this an ideal time for one of those man-on-the-street pieces, you know, where you go to Times Square and ask people how much they know. I love those segments because the people, they never know anything. They're so stupid. So I sent Joanne to Times Square because I'm busy counting my sports cars.
There's no better place to talk to American voters than Times Square in New York City. Let's see what they have to ask our presidential candidates. I'm ready for a lot of questions about favorite foods and pot legalization. And what's your question for Chris Christie?
Well, during a time when relations between minority people and law enforcement are strained, how would reinstating stop and frisk policies benefit tense communities?
Okay, do you have a question for Jeb Bush?
What's your plan to cut the corporate tax to boost the nation's GDP?
And what is your question for Marco Rubio?
For Marco Rubio, let's see, Marco, of the 4 million refugees that have fled Syria, the United States has taken in 0.03%. So would you allow these Syrian refugees into the United States? That's my question.
That's a really good question. And what's your question for Ben Carson?
What is your plan to reduce the national debt, which is currently stands at $18 trillion?
Are you Swedish?
Absolutely.
How do you know so much about America?
It's all over internet.
Do you have a question for Ted Cruz?
Yes. The government shutdown of 2013 cost the nation $20 billion. Why do you support another possible shutdown if Congress cannot pass a funding bill this fall?
That's a really great question. Where are you from?
Canada.
How do you know so much about America?
We watch CNN News.
You are awful!
She was a plant. I know it. CNN put her there.
I told you to find stupid people.
I fail at things often. We should know this about me now.
You're no longer, Jesse would have done a better job.
But you know what? I learned a lot that afternoon, and I think that's what matters most.
Yes, I learned a lot too. That's the last one you do. All right, Terry, what do you expect from the debate?
I hope it isn't a cartoon. I really don't. Yeah, I mean, I kind of hope it's not that. But I really don't know what to expect. You know what I mean? Like, it's... I sort of, in a way, a part of me does... I don't know, whatever, man. Look, I just got out of the swamp doing Army stuff for 2 months. Just ask some questions.
This is exactly how the American people feel about debates.
Yeah, I mean, because I also think, like, they become circuses, and then there'll be some sound bites, and they'll talk about this crap for, like, 2 weeks.
Yeah, you're jaded. You're jaded.
No, I'm not jaded.
You're 2 months away from voting for Trump.
No, I'm just mentally beat down, Greg.
I know. You had a rough
summer.
Where were you? Where did you come from?
Don't worry about it. I was all over the place.
Okay. MCAT, do you expect Carly to face off with Donald?
Oh, yeah, that will be the question of the night. I think it's tricky to go after him. Nothing works when you go after him. It all feeds the machine. I think she's been the best at doing it, so I would like to see what goes on. And I think she can goad him into coming after her.
What about birtherism?
Ooh.
What do you think? No one's asked Donald that yet, and I know he probably has a great answer.
That started with Hillary, though. He could just probably say that because the Hillary campaign started that. So if he could just shut out and go, by the way, thanks for doing that. That came from Hillary
Somebody
Clinton.
at Trump Towers.
I learned that from Hillary. That's a very, very good line.
That was a Hillary thing.
No, Hillary started the birtherism.
Just use it for anything.
Yes, Hillary started.
You have flip-flopped on how you feel. I learned it from Hillary. I don't know.
But I think you're right, though. I think the thing is it's funny. Trump has always been a bully. Now he's the anti-bully. So now what you got to do is go after the anti-bully and kick his ass.
I would just
and don't be
list
afraid.
people who are richer than him.
Don't be afraid.
That would be my whole thing.
Well, they're gonna
Bill Gates.
That's what, actually, that is what'll get Trump really mad.
Yes,
by the way, is if you start
exactly.
talking about people. This guy's got 25 billion. You only have 11.
You got to have the Forbes list in your pocket.
Oh, that would get him. That would be a good move. Look, none of them will have to because the moderators will make them. They'll make Jeb have a face-off with him, and Jeb will lose, as he always does.
Yes.
Rand Paul will force a face-off with Donald Trump, and Rand will lose, which is infuriating to me. And then Carly is the one who might actually beat him.
Yeah, I think she'll come off very well here. All right, Kat, the debate is taking place in a place called Simi Valley, which sounds beautiful. I don't know anything about Simi Valley.
Really?
No.
Located in the southeast corner of Ventura County, duh.
I had
You can get a 3-star hotel room there for an average of $120.
Fantastic.
Everybody knows that.
No, maybe just you know that. Really quick to the Liberal panel. Who do you think is going to win this debate? Do you care?
Well, you ask, and your little people on that couch know nothing. The benefits of the absolute benefits, the victories, the victors of the debate are going to be Jeb's energy, Trump's class, and Huckabee's sanity. They will not come. Right. None of them will be there. They will win. Anything they say, other than that, it'll just hurt them.
All right. Thank you, Liberal panel. Not sure I understood anything he said, but then that's why he's a liberal.
It's a wall.
It is a wall.
It's a wall.
Up next, Hillary reinvents herself, then dances like nobody's watching. Well, sadly, we were watching. Clearly, she studied the moves of this man.
Oh, my God.
There he is. Karl Rove, the architect of improvisational dance. He'll be here next. There he is. He looks great. Yummy, Karl.
It's pandemonium!
Like an animatronic attraction at Disney World, freshly installed with brand new empathy software, Hillary spontaneously apologized for having 2 email accounts because a New Hampshire focus group reportedly told her to.
That was a mistake. I'm sorry about that. I take responsibility. And I'm trying to be as transparent as I possibly can.
How refreshingly spontaneous. It was as offhand as a moon landing. But what about humorous?
Controversy seems to follow me around, in case you haven't noticed. That's sort of part of the territory.
She is a regular Will Rogers, meaning lifeless. I can hear her poll numbers climbing already. Joining us now, former Deputy Chief of Staff to President George W. Bush and author of the forthcoming book, The Triumph of William McKinley, Karl Rove. Hey, Karl, how you doing? Good?
Fabulous. Thank you for showing the footage of me breaking out there at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. No, I'm Norwegian. We don't dance. We look at our feet.
Yeah, that's good.
We don't dance.
Well, it's because Norwegians
David Gregory
have
thought
sexy
he had
feet.
The moves.
Yeah. Hey, I want to ask you, what do you think of this?
No, we're just a bashful, shy people.
All right, enough of this. Warmer, fuzzier Hillary. Is this reboot going to work?
No, it never works when you sort of go out and announce we're going to do something that sounds contrived.
Yeah.
And but pretend that it's not contrived. Mm-hmm. And notice the apology. I mean, how convincing and authentic was that apology? And she didn't apologize for her principal offense, which was having a private email server in her home in order to conduct all of her business as Secretary of State offline. And she also, in that same interview, repeated the ultimate lie, which was this was all permitted and allowed. I worked in the White House for 7 years. If you wanted to do something like this in the federal government, if you're Secretary of State or you're working in the White House, you ought to and should go to the legal counsel's office, White House General Counsel, or it's the Office of Legal Advisor at the State Department, and get permission. And I bet you a dime to a dollar she did not do that. I bet you a dime to a dollar she didn't get permission to hire the State Department employee to maintain the system. I bet you she did not get permission from the Ethics Office at the Department of State to give Uma Abedin up to 4 paychecks at one time by naming her a special government employee. But Hillary Clinton was reckless in violating the rules and the laws and statutes of the United States because they don't apply to her. She's Hillary Clinton.
But does that matter to the Democratic Party? Will their supporters care about this? Or even though the New York Times has led the charge, I get the sense that they still believe this is a right-wing conspiracy.
Look, I think her decline in the polls is for a number of reasons, part of which is that she has misled us about the emails, and there are other issues. But this has been part and parcel of it. And yes, there's a reason why she was way ahead, had very high positives and very low negatives comparatively when she began this process, and has declined ever since. She is in a horse race because of things that she says and does, and part of what she said and what she did and what she's explaining is the email server. It's costing her enormously credibility, not only with Republicans and independents, but also with Democrats. Look, Bernie Sanders is not rising because he is a fantastically powerful politician who's enormously attractive and a compelling public figure. It's people are looking around saying, God, we got to do something better than her.
Yeah, she's, in my opinion, she's kind of like gathering the odor of a product that's past its sell date. She's the sour milk candidate. One last question to you, Karl, before I move on or run away from you. Joe Biden, what do you think what do you think he's going to do? Is he going to jump in?
I think it's a very close call for him. I think it's a deeply personal thing, given the death of his son. I think he ultimately runs, but this shows how deeply personal the decision to run for president could be. Incidentally, before we go, I know you got to run, but I think this is the first time I've been on your program. Thank you for inviting me. I'm deeply honored. I do think we need to tell the viewers that you and I developed our special relationship. I think either you can tell them or I'm happy to tell them that we met on a cruise.
That's
that you
true.
and I were together together on a boat, and we formed the bond as true brothers, discussing free market economics and the theory of confronting Islamic terrorism,
and it was all clothing
limited
optional.
Government. Yeah,
it was clothing optional.
For that, you thought that, but the participants in the National Review cruise did not get that same piece of paper that you did. So when you showed up for the conference or for the panel on humor with Rob Long, clothing optional, it was a little bit, let's just say, most of the participants, the NRO, are a little bit older and a little bit more traditional than the kind of people who normally hang out with you at clothing optional venues.
I did, Karl. Hang out, I did.
Yes.
All right.
Well, it could have been. It could have been. We don't know. I mean, small things,
Go away. Where's your whiteboard? All right. Talk to you later, Karl. Always a pleasure. Hey, I got time for one question. What?
That was awesome.
Yeah. The fact that he insulted me and my manhood.
I just didn't expect Karl Rove to be that way. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it is. Oh, he's got a good sense of humor.
Yeah, I bet he does.
He's a crazy little man. All right, I want to ask you, as a warrior, which president would you fight for? I know that you have to fight for all of them, no matter what.
To the death.
Yes, but which one would you like to fight for?
Coming up now?
Yes.
Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
There you go.
I do.
All right. Coming up, I make a delicious souffle out of kittens. Just kidding.
Ever get the feeling you're being lied to, but it's too dangerous to investigate on your own?
Then you need us. Millennial Detectives.
What are you wearing?
You said go full true detective.
Fair enough.
You just send us $700 and the person of interest phone. We'll go through the text messages, call log, and internet browsing history.
Leaving you completely guilt-free. This guy texts his mom some dirty stuff.
Sign up with the special code SNEAKY and we'll return the phone with incriminating photos on it.
Because they might be innocent now, but they're totally gonna lie to you down the road.
You can't trust anybody these days.
Except us. You can totally trust us.
Yes, it's time for Blast Off, the story that gets me so mad it sends me to Mars. Hence the graphic, which I suppose was self-explanatory, but I explained it anyway. It was a sad glimpse at wimps. This week, Buzzfeed, the site devoted to pointless lists of crap, published a video titled "Men Try On a Police Uniform." It's got dudes dressing up as cops and then commenting on their feelings. It's awesome if in some foreign language awesome means a bunch of jerks.
I am scaring myself watching the mirror.
I look at myself and I can see all the officers whose I've looked in their eyes and could tell they didn't want to mess with me but had to.
Honestly, I see jerk before I see hero, and that sucks.
I actually agree. It gets worse.
The fashion sensibility of being a police officer seems like it would be sort of a weird burden to deal with. You know, how do you carry yourself like a cop? What does a cop stand like?
Okay, that's probably the worst of it.
It'd be nice if I could look at this police officer and feel safer, but when I look at myself now, it makes me a little uncomfortable and skittish, if anything. Especially because it's me.
Seeing this reflection of myself, I want to turn away from myself.
So do I. One more just to rub it in.
To see myself in this uniform feels like a joke. And you realize that there's guys who get up and look in a mirror like this every single morning, and it's not a joke.
I feel like I understand why people run away from these guys. Can we solve our problems without resorting to this?
Ugh. All right. Dave, I would have loved to have been in the ideas meeting for this. Like, you know, when people are sitting around, they're coming up with stuff to do and how to spend their money. Somebody said, hey, let's have a bunch of idiots dress up as cops and make fun of them.
And it just felt so propaganda-y. Like they couldn't have been like, let's make it a little more natural. I will say though, cops are not super popular with young people. As the youngest person to ever be on Fox News, I will tell you.
How old are you?
What is he trying to say about my age?
Just turned 16. And I'm very mature. But I'm just saying, the liberals who protest cops are like insane. So you can't look to them, but we do over-police a lot. We imprison too many non-violent people. And look, a baton and a taser and a gun don't scream friendly.
But they're not supposed to. You want a cop to police with an ice cream cone and a balloon? That's what they do in England. No, I'm kidding. They actually do have guns now. Terry, 9/11, cops raced into the World Trade Center and didn't come out.
I came back in after 9/11, and I'm still in leading an A team. Here's a funny thing. So, like, in World War II, they asked Yamamoto, are you going to invade the United States? And he was like, hell no. I think he didn't say that because the Japanese vernacular doesn't say that. but he said something to the effect of, hell no. And they said, why? And he said, because behind every blade of grass, there will be a man with a gun. He correctly surmised back then in the 40s that was the kind of male population we had in the United States. Now, our enemies correctly know that behind every Mac Pro, there's a dude with a latte and a little book on how to be politically correct. And these guys will show that. And can you imagine that dude goes, I don't like the way I look right now. I mean, you know, by the way, the uniform is not a freaking costume. I remember someone else told me that too when I went to acting school because they saw this picture of me in my Green Beret uniform. So I was like, wow, you look really good in that costume. I go, that's not a costume.
I think that was me who said that.
You might have said,
I think I said that to him on Red Eye because that was a really good costume. And I thought it was going to kill me.
And at that moment when we actually stand up, it's a really cool ceremony. You've gone through all this hell training and you put this green beret on. The first thing I thought of was, the fashion sensibility here is kind of interesting.
Well, I guess just wearing the uniform and not having the threat of death doesn't complete the complete experience.
Exactly.
So there's a not small women's population with arms behind those blades of glass now.
Yeah, there is, and you're one of them.
They all work for Fox.
Yeah.
But
you're one of them.
The other thing is, I've never heard cops say "like" so much.
Yeah. That's a sad thing.
You're right.
Everybody like is now breathing.
You're totally right.
Joanne, if your boyfriend, if a man you were dating showed up in that video, how quickly would you dump them?
Oh, very quickly. But I feel really bad for the guys who were in that video but were edited out because they said, I have more respect now for the police officer. There has to have been at least a few guys who put it on and had nice things to say, but because of what that video was trying to do, they edited it out, and that sucks.
I also noticed. I also noticed there was some self-deprecation in there, but it was outweighed by the sneer. Coming up, the latest version of James Bond as a live-in lover, a sassy gay friend, is 85 years old and wants you to get off his lawn. That last part really isn't true, but I'd love it if it was. Will the world be less fond of the new James Bond? This week, author Anthony Horowitz discussed how he's making the British spy more PC in the latest 007 novel, Trigger Mortis. That's pretty clever. Apparently, the story is set just a few weeks after the end of Goldfinger. I had that once. And finds Bond with a live-in girlfriend and an outspoken gay friend. He's also more conscious of the consequences of smoking and drinking. Explained Horowitz, quote, the challenges of writing the book was that attitude that a heterosexual man can change a woman's life and make her go weak at the knees. How do you remain true to the original creation and concept and yet at the same time not offend people in the 21st century? All right, Dave, the fact that he's worried about offending people makes him ineligible to write a James Bond book because he's supposed to be offensive.
If you forget even James Bond, if you make any type of art, and you even kind of have an inclination of, let me not offend people with this art, your art stinks.
You have to be
done.
Period.
Yes.
That's not what art's ever supposed to do. There's never ever been a good piece of art that went in like, let me not offend.
Yeah. And by the way, the art that goes out of its way not to be offensive is the art that people are saying, or people in the media are saying that we should have more of.
Right.
And but yet, if you're a conservative and you say there's too much sex and violence on TV, you're an old fogey.
They come down on you. Yeah. James Bond's James Bond.
Yes.
He's supposed to be that guy.
Yeah, this is
what
not
I mean?
realism.
Right. Yeah.
By
Yeah.
the way, the live-in girlfriend apparently is pussy galore.
Yes.
And they're like bickering over breakfast and stuff. If James Bond is going to have a live-in girlfriend, he's going to do it way more fabulously than that.
Heck yeah, man.
Like,
and also, by the way, the name of the woman is Pussy Galore, so please don't bleep that.
Well, and so people,
I'm just glad I got to say it
read
on
books
TV.
and people go to entertainment to escape. They don't want to deal with the same goings-on in their own life. And I want to look at a man who has all these vices that he shares with me, and yet he can still do great stuff while I'm sitting on my couch reading a book.
Yeah. These people who write this stuff or who think this way are the worst kind of party guests, and they're just, I don't even want them in my house because it's just like, you suck. They just suck the air out of the room. No, smoke your cigarette, go have sex with her behind the couch, and go kill a bad guy from the Soviet Union.
Exactly. And like you were saying in the last segment, like, what is this image of how killers are supposed to be?
Yeah.
It's like when we everyone was furious that the Secret Service got caught with those hookers. Like, what do you want these guys to be?
Exactly.
Like, you want them to be like perfectly polite killers?
Yeah.
Is that the idea?
No, that's it. They're trained to be.
They should be sly enough to not get caught.
They just shouldn't get caught, right? They shouldn't.
That's
they
a
shouldn't
fair
get caught. They shouldn't get
My
caught.
fear, Joanne, is we're going to see a vegetarian Bond, doesn't drink and reads The Nation. And that's gonna just be the end.
A green juice shaken.
Yes.
With
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Way to loop that in.
They'll get a coffee enema at the nearest spa. Hey, Katherine, James Bond. Any facts?
This movie is going to be the longest James Bond movie, which means that I am even less likely to watch it than any of the other ones, which I also have not seen.
What's your problem with James Bond?
I don't know. I just got better stuff to do than watch James Bond. I don't know. What do you like so much about James Bond?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
When you're a kid, he was just kind of awesome because he did a lot of awesome things. I think what they should do, forget about casting James Bond. Caitlyn Jenner has to be the new M. Is that perfect?
That's pretty edgy, actually.
That's edgy. See, I'm way ahead of the curve on this. Anyway, as you know, I love local news. It's like national news, but local. This week, a drunk couple from Norfolk, Virginia got arrested for having sex in a parking lot in broad daylight. The next day, they gave an interview, and it was perfect. It's my pick for what I'm calling News Awesome of the Week.
Everyone wants to be spontaneous. Not being disrespectful to you, have you ever been spontaneous?
Not that spontaneous. Is something like this going to happen again? No.
I don't know.
There you have
That's it.
male-female difference explained in 10 seconds. No, I don't know.
I don't know.
Up next, the return of Greg Mail, but first, a word from our sponsor.
Tonight's show is sponsored by Speed. It's the rate at which someone or something is able to move or operate, not to be confused with the awesome Keanu Reeves movie of the same name. Thanks, Speed.
Where did my hair go?
No.
Well, it's time for Greg Mail. The address is gregmail@foxnews.com. I read, he answers, then we all play Twister in a pit of fire. Ready to do this, Greg?
Of course.
You ready? All right. Well, John from Kansas City wants to know, Greg, how much can you bench?
People ask me this a lot. I actually bench a lot, but I don't go by pounds per se. When I lift, I like to take a more natural approach to measuring the weight. For example, here's me lifting earlier this morning. Ooh.
that how you see yourself, Greg?
Yeah, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, well, here's another one. Hi, Greg. I see you have climbed the Fox ladder enough to have your emails read to you by pretty women. Ooh, congratulations and keep up the good work. Scott Horton, Waterloo, New York, birthplace of Memorial Day.
Thank you, and congratulations for writing from Waterloo, which is the birthplace of Memorial Day. I had absolutely no idea. I just thought it was the name of a great song by ABBA, but not their best song. That, of course, would be Dancing Queen, which was also my nickname in high school.
Interesting. Here's another one. Will in Pittsburgh says, your show doesn't have enough toenail fungus commercials. Let's make America stronger, toenails first.
Well, as you know, Will, fungus is a living thing, and therefore one of God's creatures. It needs to be protected. Just because that little fungus shows up on your toe doesn't make it any less valuable than a kitten or a tuber. Here's a better way to look at it. Think of it as a bunch of little friends you just made, and you're giving them a ride to someplace new on your foot. But also, if you use the gym shower, please wear sandals next time, because that's where you got it. I know.
Kittens are more valuable than fungus. But we have one more to get to from Sherilyn. The subject of the email was Brown High Class of 1960 Picnic 55th Reunion. Hi, everyone. I'm really looking forward to seeing you on September 19th. The time has come for us to pay the owners the rent for the pavilion. Please send your money, $15 to Cookie.
I'm sorry, Sherilyn, but as you know, Cookie and I aren't speaking anymore after that incident. But instead of bringing $15, I will bring some of my homemade ambrosia salad. It has some very special ingredients that, well, it might make you happy, or it might not, because this is a strange letter. That wasn't meant for me.
Cookie.
Yes, Cookie. Poor Cookie. All right, I'm going to say goodbye to you now.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks to Governor Bobby Jindal, Karl Rove, Terry Schappert, Mary Catherine Amp, Dave Smith, Joanne, Katherine, and the Liberal panel. I'm Greg Gutfeld, and I love you.